In this video, we're going to be finding the surface area of three-dimensional shapes. So your foldable should be glued at the top of page 15. This is the only thing being glued onto this page, so you can really glue it at the top, middle, wherever you'd like. First, we're going to go ahead and look at the front cover. So here, remember that surface area is measured in squared units. And remember, squared units, for example, are like inches squared, centimeters squared. Your exponent here is 2. In addition, surface area is like covering the outside of a figure. Imagine painting the outside of a house. Okay, so just imagine painting. So let's go ahead and look at our first problem. For our first problem, it says the dimensions of a rectangular prism are shown below. What is the lateral surface area of this rectangular prism in square inches? So since I'm finding lateral surface area of a rectangular prism, we need to go to our formula chart and find the formula for lateral surface area of a prism. So if I go to the section for surface area and I go to prism and I go to the lateral column, we see here that the formula is S equals P times H. Now, S stands for surface area, equals P stands for the perimeter of your base, and H stands for the height of your prism. So again, our formula here is S equals P times H. Now, the first thing we also need to do is to identify our base. Now, remember, on a rectangular prism, your base is always the bottom. But also remember that the dimensions of the bottom of your rectangular prism are going to be the same as the top of your rectangular prism. So we're going to go ahead and use these dimensions up top to find the perimeter of my base. So remember, when we're finding the perimeter of a rectangle, we're adding the sides going around the base. So this means I'm adding 7.5 plus 5.2 plus, I'm going again around the base. If this side is 7.5, this side is also 7.5. So I'm adding 7.5. And then lastly, I want to add this side as well, which is going to be 5.2. So now we're going to open up our calculators and add up those numbers. So opening up a calculator window, again, we're taking 7.5 plus 5.2 plus 7.5 plus 5.2. And when we press enter, we get 25.4. So here the perimeter of our base is 25.4. Now we want to multiply this by the height of our prism, which is the distance between our bases. Here the height of our prism is 12. So now we want to multiply 25.4 times 12, and we get 304.8. So here the lateral surface area of this prism is 304.8 centimeters squared. So here our answer is going to be A. So that was finding lateral surface area of a rectangular prism. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. And here it says the dimensions of a rectangular prism are shown below. We want to know what is the total surface area of this rectangular prism in square inches. So the first thing we're going to actually go ahead and do is go back to our formula chart and find the formula for total surface area of a prism, which we see is S equals PH plus 2B. So again, S stands for surface area. This equals P, which is the perimeter of your base. H is the height of your prism, plus 2 times big B. Now remember, big B stands for the area of your base. You should know how to do this if you were able to find the area of your base when we found volume. So S equals PH plus 2B. So again, the first thing we want to do is to identify our base. Remember, on a rectangular prism, your base is always the bottom. So I'm going to shade in the bottom. So now I want to find the perimeter. And remember, when we're finding perimeter of the base of a rectangle, we're adding the sides going around it. So here I have 7.5 plus 3.5 plus 7.5 plus 3.5. So opening up our calculators, 7.5 plus 3.5 plus 7.5 plus 3.5 is going to give us 22. So the perimeter of my base is 22 times the height of my prism. Again, the height of your prism is the distance between your bases, or the distance from the bottom to the top here, which is 2, plus 2 times big B. Now, since big B is a rectangle, I'm going to put a rectangle around B. And off to the side, we want to find the area of that rectangle. Now remember, to find area of a rectangle, we do length times width. So the length of our rectangle is 7.5 times the width, which is 3.5. So 7.5 times 3.5 is going to give us 26.25. So now let's type this in to find the total surface area of this rectangular prism. So we're going to take 22 times 2 plus 2 times 26.25. And when we press enter, we see here that the total surface area of this rectangular prism is 96.5 inches squared. So that was finding lateral and total surface area of the rectangular prism. Now we're going to go ahead and look at number 3, and now we're going to move on to triangular prisms. So here it says the dimension of a triangular prism are shown below. What is the lateral surface area of this triangular prism in square inches? So again, we're going to go to our formula chart and find the formula for lateral surface area of a prism. So when we go to surface area for a lateral surface area of a prism, our formula is S equals pH. Now, first thing we need to do is identify our base. Now, since this is a triangular prism, remember your base is the triangle. Now, here we're missing some information. Here, this side is 26, so this side is also 26. Now, we're going to assume this is an isosceles triangle, and we're going to give this a slant height of 26 as well. So we're going to find the perimeter by adding the sides going around our triangle. So this means I'm going to take side 1, which is 26, plus side 2, which is 20, plus side 3, which is 26. So 26 plus 20 plus 26 gives us 72. So here the perimeter is 72 times the height of my prism. So the height of your prism is the distance between your triangles, and the distance between our triangles here is 30. So then we take 72 times 30, and that's going to give us 2,160. Our unit is inches, and since we're talking about volume, this is squared. Since we're talking about area, this is squared. So that was finding lateral surface area of a triangular prism. Now we're going to find the total surface area of this exact rectangular prism. So again, we're finding total surface area here. So it says the dimensions of a rectangular prism are shown below. What is the total surface area of this triangular prism in square inches? So again, going back to your formula chart, the first thing you want to do is identify the formula for total surface area of a prism, which is S equals pH plus 2B. So we're going to write that formula down. And then again, we want to identify your base. So remember, on a triangular prism, your base is the triangle. Now, as we mentioned before, we're going to make this an isosceles triangle. So this says our slant height is 26. So we're going to say our slant height is 26 on both sides. So again, to find our perimeter, we're adding the sides going around our triangle, which is 26 plus 20 plus 26. And when we did this, we got 72. So here our perimeter is 72 times the height of my prism, which again is the distance between your bases, which is 30 here, plus 2 times big B. Now remember, since the base shape of your prism is a triangle, we're going to put a triangle around B. And off to the side, we want to find the area of that triangle by doing base times height divided by 2. So looking at your triangle, the base of your triangle is 20. Times the height of your triangle, which is 24, divided by 2. So going to our calculators, 20 times 24 is 480, and when you divide that by 2, you get 240. So now we're going to go ahead and type this in. So we have 72 times 30 plus 2 times 240. And when we do this, we get 2,640 inches squared. Okay, so that was looking at prisms. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the surface area of cylinders. So let's go ahead and look at number 5. So for number 5, it says a can in the shape of a cylinder has a diameter of 6 centimeters and a height of 10 centimeters. Which measurement is closest to the total surface area of the can in square centimeters? So again, we're finding total surface area, and first thing we're going to go ahead and do is write down the formula for total surface area of a cylinder. So going to our formula chart on the section for surface area, we're going down to the cylinder, and I see that the formula for total surface area is S equals 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared, where the only things we need to identify are the radius and the height. So I'm going to go here and write down that formula. S equals 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. So in the problem, they give us a height of 10 centimeters and they tell us our diameter is 6 centimeters. Again, we need to know the radius. So if they tell us our diameter equals 6, we have to divide this by 2 to get a radius of 3. So now that we have our dimensions identified, all we're going to do is plug this into the problem. So we have 2 pi times the radius, which is 3, times the height, which is 10, plus 2 pi times the radius, which is 3 squared. So we're going to type that into our calculators. So we have 2 times pi times our radius, which is 3, times 10 plus 2 times pi times 3 squared. And when we press enter, we get 245.04. Here, our unit is centimeters, and since we're talking about area, again, this is squared. So here's my surface area, and the measurement that is going to be closest to that is D, 245 centimeters squared. So that was finding a total surface area of a cylinder. We're going to go ahead and look at number 5 now. So for number 5, it says a cylinder has the dimensions diagram below, which is the closest measurement of the cylinder's total surface area. So again, we're going to go to our formula charts and write down the formula for total surface area of a cylinder, which is S equals 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. So S equals 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. So from the cylinder, we need to identify the radius and we need to identify the height. I see that my height is 14 because that is how tall this cylinder is. And then if I look at my base of my cylinder, I see that they have given me the diameter. They have told me my diameter is 4.6, and I know this is the diameter because it goes all the way across. So to find the radius, we're going to go ahead and divide 4.6 by 2. And when we divide 4.6 by 2, we get 2.3. So here my radius is 2.3. So now that we've identified our dimensions, we're going to go ahead and plug this into the problem. So we have 2 times pi times the radius, which is 2.3, times the height, which is 14, plus 2 times pi times the radius, which is 2.3 squared. So now we're going to go ahead and type this into our calculators. So again, we have 2 times pi times 2.3 times 14 plus 2 times pi times 2.3 squared. And when we press enter, we see that the total surface area here is 235.6. Our unit is centimeters, and again, since we're talking about surface area, this is squared. So here, the one closest to my answer is going to be 8, 235.6 centimeters squared. Okay, now let's go and look at number 7. So for number 7, it says Benson is painting the lateral surface area of a cylinder shaped like the one below. Which expression can be used to find the number of square inches he will paint? So here it says he is painting the lateral surface area. Remember, lateral surface area means only the sides. So if we go to our formula charts, the formula for lateral surface area of a cylinder is 2 pi RH. So here I'm going to write that formula down. 2 times pi times r times h. Now, if you look at your answer choices, this is surface area of algebraic expressions. So really, we're just setting up the equation and seeing which one matches. So first, let's identify our radius and our height. So if I look at the base of my shape, I see that this line goes all the way across, which tells me that my diameter is 3.5. So to find my radius, I'm going to divide by 2. And when I divide 3.5 by 2, we see that my radius is 1.75. Now, for the height of my cylinder is the distance between my bases, which here is going to be 5. So now we're going to plug this information into our formula. So we have 2 times pi times 1.7 times 5. And now we want to go over to our answer choices and see which one matches this expression. And here that's going to be B. Again, 2 times pi times 1.75 times 5. Lastly, let's go ahead and look at number 8. So it says the table shows the volume of 2 cylinders. So here we have cylinder J and cylinder K being compared, and in the table they have given us the dimensions for the radius and the heights of both cylinders. So we want to know which statement is true regarding the lateral surface area in square inches. So again, we're talking about lateral surface area here, and the first thing we need to identify is what is the formula for lateral surface area. So when we go to our formula charts, the formula for lateral surface area is S equals 2 pi RH. So I'm going to write that up here at the top. Now, looking at my answer choices, I am comparing the 2 cylinders. So we're going to go ahead and find the lateral surface area for both. So luckily, they've already given us our radius and our heights for both cylinders. So all we're doing is plugging it into the formula for surface area. So this is 2 times pi times our radius, which is 5, times our height, which is 12. So going to our formula charts, we have going to our calculators, we have 2 times pi times 5 times 12. And when we press enter, we get 376.99. And this will be inches squared. So now we also need to find the lateral surface area for cylinder K. So here I have 2 times pi times the radius, which is 12, times the height, which is 5. Now, when we put this into our calculators again, 2 times pi times 12 times 5 is again also going to give us 376.99 inches squared. So here we see that the surface area of both cylinders J and K are the same. So let's look at our answer choices. Answer choice A says cylinder J has a larger lateral surface area. We know it's not larger, so we can cross that out. B says cylinder J has a smaller lateral surface area. Again, that's not true. And C says cylinder J and K have the same lateral surface area, which is true. So here for number 8, our answer is C. So that concludes finding surface area of prisms and cylinders.